Judge Stephanie Ganaway-Pasley is a retired summary court judge who interpreted the law for 12 years. She also has experience and backgrounds in mental health and psychology. She now wants to become the next Charleston County Probate Court judge. I talk one-on-one with Judge Ganaway-Pasley for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Judge Stephanie Ganaway-Pasley, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
Well, I appreciate it greatly. You are a longtime resident of Charleston, a civil mediator, and have served as a summary court judge for over 12 years where you actually interpret the law. You also have a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology, a Master of Arts in counseling with a concentration in mental health, and obviously you're working on your psychology doctoral candidate, which you will become next week,
Dr.
right?
Ganaway-Pasley in about 1 week.
That's right. Exactly right. And of course, we all know that 4 years ago, you ran for the Charleston County Probate Court as a Democratic candidate. Now You're back 4 years later.
As a Democratic candidate.
Exactly right.
Yes.
Why Judge Stephanie Ganaway-Pasley? Why the Charleston County Probate Court again?
Well, we're running again to continue to try to serve the citizens in Charleston County. We still want to improve the programs and redesign the programs that are in the court. We want to efficiently and effectively serve the citizens in Charleston County. We want to demystify the processes in Charleston County Probate Court. As I said it before, I'm a hands-on person. I believe in going into the community, giving people information that they deserve to have in regards to heirs, property, guardianship, conservatorship. That court is more than just about marriage license. I am passionate when it comes to mental health. I'm the only candidate that have an academic background in mental health. I have been studying psychological disorders, mental health, mental illness for the past 7 years consistently. I understand it. And I think the community would be more empowered because mental health and mental illness is a stigma among many communities. And we want to broaden the scope by letting people know it's okay to talk about it, because when people commit crimes that are nonviolent and or misdemeanors, that's when they go into can benefit through the mental health court, which is housed in the probate court, as well as the drug court, because I have also studied substance abuse as well.
What are those nonviolent crimes that are being discussed within the Charleston County Probate Court that you see that a lot of people see that not getting any results from?
I think that when it comes down to, again, nonviolent crimes such as, maybe shoplifting, misdemeanors, when people are not given the treatment that they need, when people are being incarcerated instead of being sent to a facility or given a treatment plan that they so direly need so they can become functioning citizens again. South Carolina is ranked 5th in the nation, for instance, for domestic violence, in the top 10 of homicides. In 2015, I saw these about violent crimes in South Carolina, with Charleston County being responsible for close to 2,000, being the third highest number in the state. So in addition, there was Dorchester County and Berkeley County that reported at somewhere around 1,200, totaling about 3,000 reports just dealing with violent crimes in the Tri-County area. So I think that usually nonviolent crimes can turn into violent crimes. So I think when people suffer with a mental illness and have mental health challenges, that we can reduce those numbers by getting people the treatment that they need. Plus, it would benefit the taxpayers by way of people not being housed in jail. People will be getting the treatment, be given a treatment plan and benefiting from it, and getting the results that they need from it.
And how many of those nonviolent crimes in Charleston County have actually turned into violent crimes over the past 2 years?
I don't have the statistics on how many nonviolent crimes turn to violent crimes. I have done research to know that this piece of information that I just talked to you about is rewarding from the standpoint that you understand that these are the possibilities. But what's really beneficial is that when you see victims come in with such significant distress, challenges, and then they're being able to connect with themselves, and then you can help them on their journey so they can have a more fruitful life.
Now, Judge, let me ask you this. What programs within the Charleston County Probate Court right now that you want to revamp and actually help as far as getting the taxpayers on board on what's going on there?
The program that I would like to revamp right now would basically consist with heirs property, to where we would get programs in place where we would actually go out into the community and talk to citizens. As you stated, I am a civil mediator. I am qualified in the state of South Carolina as well as North Carolina, so we know how to bring people together and talk to them. I also want to look at the mental health court, the drug court, so that we would have staff in place on a consistent basis, so when their crises come up, that we're not hanging around waiting for somebody to dial 911 or waiting for someone to be picked up. We want somebody to start the intake process right away. We want 24 hours around the clock.
Now, what is that percentage of consistent staff that's going on, that's actually at the drug and family courts right now in Charleston County?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
Yes, ma'am. What's the percentage of consistent staff right now within the Charleston County family and drug courts?
I'm not sure about the family court, but in regards to mental health and drug court, I don't think there's a consistent 24-hour where you can actually call the probate court and then you can get access to a counselor immediately.
Now, how would you go about going to Charleston County Council about getting that consistent staff and the money and the infrastructure for this?
We would simply explain the program and explain the importance of it.
And how? Yeah, and where exactly do you want to take these programs? Where is it right now needed?
It is needed countywide, in my opinion. In regards to the probate court, we want to have these programs in place because there's not a price when it comes down to health and the safety of the public and the safety of those who are in the crisis at the time.
Now, Judge, let me ask you, what's the most important thing that has changed about the Charleston County Probate Court in the past 4 years?
In the past 4 years, well, actually, I can go back and say in the past 20 to 24 years, I don't think anything has changed. I think it has been the same, which is why we're running now to bring change. We feel that there's a need that's not being addressed, and which is why we're running. When you look in the state of South Carolina, and then there's 183,000 adults that have a serious mental illness, and 53,000 South Carolinians between ages of 12 to 17 have depression. I think it's important in the responsibility of that court to inform the citizens and put programs together that would benefit the citizens in Charleston, South Carolina.
What about those programs for the demographics 25 to 54?
I don't have the stats from exactly 25 to 54 in regards to age. I know about the stats in regards to there's over 706,000 adults in South Carolina with a mental health condition. And that's more than 5 times the population of Charleston.
What are the last figures of the population for Charleston County?
I'm sorry?
What are the last figures for the population of Charleston County?
The population in Charleston County, I believe, is, just population in general and not mental health, just population in general?
Yes, ma'am.
I believe it's somewhere around 411,000.
Now, how many of those residents have actually left Charleston County over the past 4 years?
I'm not sure. I don't have that statistic. I don't have those statistics on that.
Where in Charleston County are people actually moving to?
Well, Charleston County is a growing county. There are people that's moving in North Charleston, Mount Pleasant, the city of Charleston. The Charleston, even though God is not making any land, is coming up somewhere, where the population in Charleston County has grown. Now,
where is that pace of growth in Charleston County? Where do you see it the most?
I see, it seems like the pace of, of growth the most is probably in the city of Charleston. That's just guessing from the top of my head. I don't have any statistics to, support that. Now,
let me ask you this: what are Charleston County's current growth projections in the next 5-10 years?
I can't answer that, Quintin. That would probably be something for county council. Someone is running for county council to answer. I'm not really sure. I know that I can tell you this: that again, in South Carolina, when we talk about the population, where my concern is with mental health, where there's 183,000 adults that have a serious mental health illness. And like I stated, 53,000 South Carolinians between the ages 12 to 17 have depression. When we're looking at, 7 to 10 youths in juvenile justice system have a mental health condition, that brings a concern to me. We want to reduce recidivism. We want to make sure that people have proper treatment. We want to make sure that people are treated with dignity and respect. We want to make sure that we are approachable. We want to make sure that we are servants. I'm not running because I need a job. I don't need a job. I'm a college professor. I'm certified in special education. I understand the need of the county. I'm running to serve. We want to be servants for the citizen in Charleston County. We want to give them the services that they so direly need. We want to give them the information. We want to demystify the process. We want to let people know what to expect before something actually happens. Last year, I lost my mother. Last year, I lost my mother. I lost my brother. 20 years ago, I lost a husband. I understand the process, and I understand that when people come into probate court, they're usually coming there, unless they're applying for a marriage license, they're usually coming there because they're having some challenges dealing with death or challenges dealing with heirs property. We want to make the process a more friendlier process.
What are those current challenges within the Charleston County Probate Court with the residents of Charleston County?
I think some of the challenges are the unknown, not knowing what to expect. We want to make sure that people understand what the steps are in the probate court. And we want to use technology to make sure that people understand the process. We want to use face-to-face contact where we're actually going out into the community and educating the people. We want to make sure that we empower the citizens of Charleston County. Most times when I knock on doors and talk to citizens in Charleston County, they don't even know what the probate court is. They don't even know the programs that are provided in probate court. They don't have any knowledge outside of probate court except that's the problem. That's where you go when someone passes away to get a will validated, or that's where someone goes when they get a marriage license. There's so much more to probate court. There's conservatorship, there's guardianship. Again, there's mental health court, there's drug court. And I think, we offer the county a full package in that I have served on the bench and interpreted laws in the state of South Carolina for over 12 years, where I was chosen by court administration to train judges that in the South Carolina Summit Court Judges Mandatory School, where I went and trained in regards to fugitive warrants, or made presentation in regards to fugitive warrants. Then you have a candidate such as myself that has an extensive background academically in mental health. So we feel that we have a complete package, because in the state of South Carolina, under the statute of the state, under Title 14, the requirements to serve in the probate court as a probate court judge is to be 21, so I barely made that, and to be a citizen of the county, a registered voter, have a bachelor's degree, or someone who has worked in the court for 4 years can be eligible to run as a probate court judge. It is the people's court. It is the people's court.
Why isn't the people's court being obviously interpreted or articulated to the residents of the Charleston County area, that is?
Well, that question will have to be answered by those who are currently serving in office. I think discretion's, I think it's about discretion. And we want to change that. That's a change that we want to make. We want to make sure that our citizens understand the programs in the court, and we want to make sure that citizens are served, regardless of their race, regardless of their economic or socioeconomic status, regardless of their gender. We want to make sure that we serve the entire population in Charleston County, and we want to make sure that people in Charleston County understand the programs in probate court. When we are elected and we serve on the bench, we're going to make sure that the citizens in Charleston County is getting the benefit that they deserve to have by being taxpayers in Charleston County when it comes down to the Charleston County Probate Court.
And speaking of serving, Judge, how many estates of decedents have been administered in Charleston County over the past 4 years?
I don't have that information.
How many marriage licenses have been issued since, obviously, the Associate Probate Court court judge has been in office?
I don't have that information either. I haven't researched to see how many marriage licenses have been issued, or how many wills have been validated. Again, my concern is that because most people know you can come to court and get wills validated, I don't think there's been an issue there. When it comes to getting a marriage license, I don't think there's been an issue there. But I think it has been some concerns in regards to heirs property. I think it has been some concerns in regards to mental health and drug court, and that's what we've been focusing on.
How many Black families own their properties here in Charleston County?
It's impossible for me to know how many Black families own their property in Charleston County. Are you referring to heirs property, or are you just talking about individuals that own? Okay. I haven't researched that to find out how many families that own their properties. I just know when I knock on doors and some families will discuss with me about the challenges that they've had in regards to heirs property and getting those matters resolved.
What are those future challenges for heirs property here in Charleston County?
Well, the challenge is that, number one, they don't know what to do. They're saying that sometimes when they don't know how to start a process to get the conversation started. They don't want to sell their property, and sometimes they feel that they're forced into a sell, and they don't want to do that. They want to know what are some of the other alternatives. Can we bring families together and talk? Because they said that's not happening right now. What other alternatives do we have? If 90% of the family is in agreement and 10% is not, what can we do? What can we do to hold on to what our family has worked so hard for? Because as I stated earlier, God is not making any more land. So once the land is forced into a sale, then it becomes the property of somebody else. Sometimes they lose value in the property. Property might be sold for $100,000, but truly is valued at $500,000. But we want to make sure that families understand what some alternatives are, and we want to put the alternatives, the availability out there. We want to integrate of the court.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
We want to put integrity back into the probate court.
Yes, ma'am. And you talk to me about your alternative plan. What is your 4-point plan if you were to be elected when dealing with heirs property?
I don't want to give out my plan, but I can tell you that we have a plan. I will tell you this. We will sit down with families that have challenges, and we will put our plan into place. And the reason I don't want to say our plan is because we don't want to disclose what we want to do for the community. But we will say that we will use part of our platform to bring families together, and we will show them where there are alternatives that can be used to hold on to their property.
Speaking of families, Judge, let me ask you, how many guardians and conservators for minors and incapacitated persons have been appointed due to probate court judge over the past 4 years?
I don't know if that would be public information, Quintin. I don't have the statistics on that in regards to how many specific guardians have been appointed.
And do you, by chance, know how many involuntary commitments of mentally ill or chemically dependent persons have been oversaw at the probate court?
I don't have the statistics on how many specifically have been overseen in the probate court.
Now, let me go back, obviously, and let's talk about, the heirs property and obviously, foreclosures and all that stuff. How many residents has the Charleston County Probate Court avoided helping those people lose their properties under to tax sales under, their position at the probate court?
I don't think there's any way for me to have that information. Again, when I knock on doors and when I talk to citizens in Charleston County, I would run into some citizens that have heirs property, and then they would start discussing the disdain that they have and dissatisfaction that they're experiencing in regards to not knowing what to do and where to go and with their heirs property. But as far as knowing how many African American families have heirs property or how many other minorities have heirs property, I do not have the statistics on that, and don't even know if I can even find the stats on that.
Now, what is your plan to make certain that these people hold on to their property?
Again, what we're going to do is empower people with knowledge, and I want us to be a hands-on court. We're going to go into the community. We're going to have workshops. We're going to have seminars. We're going to have Zoom meetings. We're going to use the media. We're going to make sure that people have the knowledge and that they're prepared understanding what their alternatives are. We're going to make sure that if you choose plan A, these are the benefits. If you choose plan B, these are the benefits. These are the advantages. These are the disadvantages. We want people to have knowledge. We want them to be empowered with knowledge.
And speaking of knowledge, Judge, what are the emerging mental health challenges that you foresee coming in Charleston County over the next 4 years?
I feel there's going to be just looking at some of the stats and looking at some of the statistics and research that, I don't think depression is going to go away, and I don't think anxiety is going to go away. Adults with frequent mental distress in Charleston County is like 13.4%. I think that depending on the crisis that the county faces will determine what type of mental health or mental illness that one will face. The most common mental illnesses, especially when it's linked to opioid addictions, because that's also a concern within our state and in the county. There's depression, there's anxiety disorder, there's bipolar disorder, there's schizophrenia, there is alcoholism, there's post-traumatic stress disorder. Right. So, but I also think that, those conditions can be addressed if people understood what depression is and understand what anxiety disorders are, and understand that sometimes the serotonin levels do get low in our brain, and sometimes we do need to see a psychologist. I often tell people, when we have issues with our heart, we'll go to a cardiologist, right, and that's okay. If we have issues with our blood pressure, we'll go to the endocrinologist, and that's okay. But it's also okay to go to see a psychologist or a psychiatrist if we're having problems with our other organ, which is our brain.
Now, I know that your opponent's vision says that she will prioritize additional educational outreach to citizens spanning Charleston County from McClellanville and Arundel to Edisto, Johns, and James Allen, and North Charleston to West Ashley. But let me ask you, Judge, why didn't this happen 20 years ago?
That's a good question. And sometimes people say a lot of things they're going to do when they're faced with a challenge of someone coming in office to do what should have been done 20 years ago. For 20 years, someone had an opportunity to get more understanding and knowledge and academically prepared in mental health. For 20 years, people had the opportunity to strengthen the community, to make them aware of the processes of the probate court, to demystify the probate court, to have transparency in the probate court. Some of the questions that you were asking me about how many non-violent committals have been made in mental health, that information can be given by those who serve. So now all of a sudden you're running for office, and you want to do all of these things that you're saying that you had 20 years to do. I can't answer that because I really don't know. I know that if I've been there for 20 years, people in Charleston County would know what probate court was, the programs in probate court, and each year it would be something different to where we would have advanced and improved on different programs.
To provide better coordinated and centralized family division services to the citizens in Charleston County, Judge, would you ask Charleston County Council, particularly County Council, hypothetically, to build a family justice center on a local campus to better serve those residents in Arundel, McClellanville, Edisto, Waldenborough?
I would look at anything that would benefit Charleston County citizens. Obviously, I would look at to address those issues with Charleston County, as well as look at our budget. Again, that's not a yes/no answer. I would tell you that we would have better programs. We would make sure that we would ask Charleston County Council for and whatever organization that's responsible for to improve the programs. And again, discretion is possible.
Okay.
The judge's discretion is possible.
Yes, ma'am. Let me ask you this, Judge. What current private partnerships would you enact to help with these programs to make them more effective?
What, private?
Yeah, current private partnership, public-private partnerships.
We would use multiple resources, to make sure that these projects are in place and that it benefits the citizens of Charleston County. We would use multiple resources.
And I know earlier you talked a little bit about obviously the budget. You mentioned it a little bit, but what was the court's approved budget in 2021?
Quentin, I don't have that information, what the court-approved budget is, but I will let you know that when it comes to, because I didn't research that, I didn't have an interest in the court-approved budget in 2021. What we were more so interested in is looking at the different programs that's in place and how their programs can be improved.
Now,
Mhm.
let me ask you this. What would you put in the budget if you were in office right now?
What I would put in the budget if I was in the office right now, first of all, we would readjust the budget. I would try to get more judges on the bench so they can serve better serve the citizens of Charleston County. And sometimes that might mean that salaries would be decreased. I would also look at different programs that's in place to see if there's any additional programs that need to be put in place to serve the citizens of Charleston County. I would look at the technology to see whether or not any additional friendly technology needs to be put in place to better serve the citizens. I would look at the backlog docket, and I would make sure that look at what we need to catch up the backlog. I have run into citizens that said they have been in probate court for the last 5 or 6 years. To me, that is ridiculous. So I'm not sure if it's because there's not enough help there or because it's being overlooked. I don't know what the issue is because I'm not in the court. But we would look at the backlog and we would make sure that we catch up on that backlog.
Now,
Okay.
now, if you hire these judges and the salaries are decreased, how much would it be decreased by?
I have no way of answering that question because I don't know how many judges that the court that the county council would allow me to hire based on whatever budget that's in place.
What has been the total budget over the past, say, 2 years?
I haven't researched the budget, so I can't answer that question. Again, we've been focusing on the different programs that's in place. When we've been looking at services, I haven't been looking at the budget. We have been looking at services.
Now, on day one, Judge, how would you do a case management system review of the probate court?
Again, we would look at the programs that's in place. We would look at the docket to see how backed up the docket is. We would look at the charges in regards to mental health to see how many people have been sent to a facility or given a treatment plan or have been incarcerated. Those are some of the things that we would look at to try to align them and get them in order so that we can better serve the citizens in Charleston County.
Well, how many current active cases are there within the Charleston County Probate Court?
Again, I can't answer that question. I don't have that information. I think we're more focused on the integrity of the court, and the impurity in the court and their credibility.
Now, if elected, Judge, when would you implement a web-based case management system, that is?
Well, first of all, new technology and initiative to provide probate court websites, that took place, in 2004, when Chief Justice Toll addressed the South Carolina Probate Court Judges Association. And, in her presentation, that's where she outlined a new technology initiative, aimed to making the South Carolina probate courts more accessible online. So that's already in place. The goal of the new initiative was to provide the presence of each probate court in South Carolina. Currently less than half of the state probate court judges have a website. So I know Charleston County does. So we would look at the website and we would look and see how we can improve it to make sure that it benefits the citizens of Charleston County more effectively and efficiently.
Now, what survey, Judge, would you do on court employees and external stakeholders?
When you say what survey I would do, obviously we would look at the employees and make sure that everyone is, within the qualification and job description. And, I'm not focused on the, employees that are taking care of the citizens in Charleston County by way of association or customer service. My main focus right now is looking at the programs that has been designed by the leaders in the court to make sure that it's focusing on serving the citizens of Charleston County.
Now, what number of experienced staff is actually eligible to retire within the next few years?
I don't know. I don't have that information.
No.
I do not know how many staffs are eligible to retire because I don't know who the staff is that's working for the probate court.
Now, today is Saturday. If you were to be elected Charleston County Probate Court Judge, how many Saturday delinquency preliminary hearings would you have?
As many as we need. We will be here to serve the citizens of Charleston County.
Charleston County.
We are servants 24/7. We'll be serving 24/7. Let me tell you something, Quintin. When
Yes,
I
ma'am.
served on the bench and as a Charleston County summary court judge, you know, if I needed to serve citizens after, whatever time we needed to serve citizens, that's what we did. You know, we worked within the time frame of the operations of the court. But if I needed to serve citizens after that time, based on whatever reason, because every case is different, we would certainly do it.
Now, would you create a Charleston County Probate Court resource center that provides limited legal assistance to individuals who are just simply handling simple probate court matters but cannot afford a lawyer?
We would provide services that once we get in office and look at what is needed, we will reevaluate the programs and determine what services that are needed to better benefit the citizens of Charleston County.
Now, how would you judge facilitate the provision of professional guardians for incapacitated persons in need in Charleston County?
We will always operate in the guidelines of the law. And within those guidelines, we will make sure that people understand what their rights are. And we will make sure that people are protected in Charleston County.
Now, how would you decrease the necessity for counter conferences and show cause hearings for achieving fiduciary compliance by providing resources and information to non-professional fiduciaries?
If I'm understanding your question right, again, I'm going to answer it by saying we will look at the resources that we have in place and the programs that are in place, and then we will address those needs based on the current conditions of the programs and how effectively they're working or not working.
Now, how would you actually recruit and train new professional guardians to meet the growing demand for guardianship services in Charleston County?
I'm not sure if I would have to train guardians. Guardians are, when you say train, me personally train guardians, are you talking about guardians at Leidens, or are you talking about guardians in regards to guardianship?
Guardianship now.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
in
ma'am.
regards to guardianship, we will make sure that they understand what their responsibilities are based on what the law states. We will make sure that we monitor the guardians to make sure that they're carrying out the duties of their responsibility. We will make sure, in simple terms, that everyone is aware of their responsibility. And we will also make sure that while we are monitoring the guardian, we will also be there to assist in any way that we can to help them be productive, so that, because it is all about the person who's no longer able to make decisions about his or her health. And it would be the same for conservators as well.
Right. Now, obviously, as you mentioned earlier, Charleston County is growing. You say, hey, there's no more land out here. But how will your office grow with smart growth?
Well, when it comes down to smart growth, again, I hate to keep going back to this, that we will look at different resources. We will look at where the citizens are now. We will look at how we can improve the knowledge and understanding of what is going on. We will look at it all boils down to services. We will look at the services to try to improve the services that are in place if they need to be improved. And we're sure that most of them probably does.
And unfortunately, the Zoom is telling me I have like 20 seconds left. But Judge Stephanie Ganaway-Pasley, thank you for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you. And it's a pleasure being here. And I just want to end on making sure that we will make sure that that court is above reproach at all times. It will avoid any hint or suspicion of impropriety. We will be a court of respect, integrity, and decency.
Has there been any impropriety?
I don't know, based on the article that we read in the Post and Courier, which I'm sure everybody read in regards to nepotism, we will make sure that while we're in office, with the two current judges that are now Judge Quintin and Curry, we will make sure that under our leadership, that no suspicion or hint of impropriety, whether real or unreal, is brought upon the court in Charleston County Probate Court.
Thank you.